conversations with several wonderful personalities who would give deep dives into issues that affect the nation or sometimes the rest of the world. Today's conversation is one that happened or started this month when the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria nominated certain men and women to stand as the biggest representatives of Nigeria outside the country. I'm talking about ambassadors. Nominations and screenings. Is it merited or political? That will be our conversation for this afternoon right here on the program The Faculty. My name is Francis Ofulue. Here with me a wonderful gentleman. At my far left is Comrade Churchill Oyowe. He is the chairman, Nigerian of Journalists, Delta State Chapter. Good to have you right here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's beautiful. And close to him is Comrade Henry Usiayo, a journalist, but not a chairman. He's very close to the chairman.
I have to sit close to my chairman. It's a pleasure being here with you.
All right, the pleasure is always ours. And just by my side is a legal practitioner, one who is a doctor in the world of the legal field. Talking about nobody else but Barrister Sam Ubo. Good to have you right here.
Thank you for having me today once more.
All right. The village is mine. I don't know where to start really, but the country was shaken when we saw some of the names of the nominees for ambassadorial roles in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are to stand for this country outside this country. Several names, but before we start talking about them, let's just have a little conversation about the ambassadorial role. So I'm going to go straight to the Chemo right here with us. Ambassadorial appointments are meant to project the country's image, so to speak, and that's to happen abroad. In your view, what should matter more, competence or political ideology?
An ambassador should represent a wide range of themes. We call competence. Competence is key. Not just being competent in diplomacy, but integrity should also be there.
Yeah.
And the capacity to be a sound administrator. Of course, you cannot rule out politics from it. That is where it becomes very important that even though you are going to give political considerations, it should be people who are eminently, sufficiently qualified. So if all these are met, then we can say from your question it's a conglomeration of both competence and political consideration.
All right, sound response as I expected. Comrade Henry, should this position be hinged on loyalty or strictly about diplomatic postings?
To me, I said it should be strictly on a diplomatic personality, because if you talk about loyalty, we've gotten some persons who are loyal to the government of the day, but when they are given the opportunity to become an ambassador, they end up messing everything up and, of course, placing the country in a bad light. So, for me, I think ambassadorial appointments, though it sits at the interjection of both politics and merit, but it should specifically be on merit, so that whoever is appointed can better project the nation. Remember that you're not representing just a particular person in power, but the moment you become an ambassador, either a career or non-career ambassador, you are representing the whole nation.
That's a very strong one. Now, Barrister, we're talking about whether they are loyal, whether they are fit to be ambassadors or not. But then the big question is, what indeed qualifies one to be an ambassador in today's global diplomatic environment?
Well, you can see that the appointment of ambassadors is purely a constitutional issue, which the president himself possesses. And it is not just about the president nominating these ambassadors. And when he does that, he performs his own function by nominating them. These names or these persons are sent to the National Assembly for clearance. So it is not the job of Mr. President alone. Later we'll talk about that. So you cannot rule out the issue of politics in all this, because we have both the political ambassadors and the career ambassadors. So the issue of politics will surely come in.
Do you think the legislative is strong enough to say no to what the president says yes to?
But
especially in Nigeria.
They have a role to play. If they refuse to play their role, so be it. But they have constitutional role to play by way of clearing the ambassadors. If you find any ambassador that is not worthy of appointment, it behoves on them to say no, that this person should not be appointed. But if they refuse to do that, posterity will continue to hold to them.
There are many things that posterity has been holding in this country. Many things that posterity has been holding very strongly in the country. People don't believe that the legislative could, or legislatures could ever have anything stamped by the executive. But time will tell, really. Let's go to the NUJ chairman right here in the House. You've seen some of the names there on the list. One list showed me 34 career ambassadors and 34 non-career ambassadors, so it was a balanced one from that list. Many names, I can't even name all of them, but 5 of them are very resounding. We'll start talking about them very shortly. But to you, if you were in that house, because he has said clearly that it depends on the lawmakers to say this man is qualified or not, what would make you say this candidate should never be an ambassador in Nigeria, or for Nigeria rather?
Well, they say you don't judge a book by its cover.
That's true.
Perceptions differ. Or somebody that is bad to you will not necessarily be bad to another person.
Yes.
So it is better that they are all subjected to tests to know their competence. Somebody can be devious, but still has the capacity to play good diplomacy outside the shores of Nigeria. So what is critically important for the legislator is for them to really try to squeeze these nominees, try to find out their capacity in terms of foreign policy, world economy, and trade and commerce. These are the things that the ambassador will use in representing Nigeria. When it comes to negotiations, for example, you need somebody that is vast in all these areas. So I expect the legislator, the Senate in this regard, to be able to interrogate these nominees on their competence in these areas, irrespective of how I view or how you view the individual, the nominee. It is their capacity to tackle issues, technical issues and questions that will really determine whether they are qualified to be ambassadors, to be true representative of this country. Because whether you like it or not, the way the international community will take us seriously will be determined by the kind of person that represents us.
True.
Somebody may just, in face value, be decent looking, but lack the capacity. When you talk about representing Nigeria, it can come from career, it can come from non-career. It's just like as we have commissioners and ministers. You understand me? There's a level to which the career public servant will grow. It stops there as permanent secretary. He needs a political head. At the ambassadorial level, that is the political head. So you can from permanent secretary become a commissioner or become a minister.
Okay.
So also, it may not necessarily be so. It may just be political leaders. They still need the guidance of the career ambassadors to do well. So whoever that is there, that general competence in areas that I've mentioned, economy, trade, diplomacy, is needed. All it needs is to be guided by those who are adepts with foreign relations generally, who are called career ambassadors.
All right. Comrade Henry Osiayo, you heard the chairman and his thoughts on it. He really talked about how the legislature has to do a deep job in understanding the personality of whoever is going for that position, their acumen, if they are good enough, fit enough for that position. But I'm going to throw the question to you again. When you see these men, let's assume that you were there in that house, seated there, and you have to screen them, what would be your no-no for anyone who is being nominated during your screening process?
Well, for me, I will look at the cases, probably financial cases, money laundering cases that you had, allegations that you had, and how they were able to either acquit you or dismiss these cases. Because this, just like what the chairman said, this goes a long way to portray what we should expect from you when you go out to represent our country. For instance, we've seen some of these nominees, they have some questionable cases, and some might have been swept under the carpet, while some they were acquitted. But this calls for more interrogation from the lawmakers. But what I see these days, especially in this present National Assembly, whatever that comes from Mr. President goes
Stamped and sealed.
Is stamped and sealed, and even though some of them try as much as possible to want to pry into or maybe want to question the candidate, others always want to say Mr. President has spoken, we stand solidly behind the president. But to me, I think as the National Assembly, that is where they are lacking in this dispensation, because Barrister just said that it is the constitutional right of the president to send in these names. And of course, petitions will begin to fly in from here and there about this particular candidate. Now, it is now down to the lawmakers to now sit and look at what this candidate are being petitioned about. And of course, we know the DSS, some of the petition comes from the DSS, and some even for the EFCC and ICPC. But I think most time the legislator, they just play deaf ear to this and just say take a bow and go, and that is what I don't actually subscribe to.
Okay, Barrister, can one who has legal issues be qualified to go for ambassadorial position for a country?
Well, let me begin by saying that, I think I said that earlier on, that it is still a constitutional issue. Now, if you go to section 171 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, it says that the president himself has power to nominate persons as ambassadors. But in doing that, the president must have recourse to the provisions of section 14, which talks about federal character. Now, the president, in nominating these persons, must ensure that all the states, the various states in the country, are represented. Okay. Now, I said earlier on that, by virtue of the principle of checks and balances, which we incorporate in our federal system, it is not within the power of Mr. President to, for example, begin to screen who and who should be there. The president is a political figure. He nominates these persons, send their names to National Assembly. But that will not stop the president from doing his job earlier on to find out who these persons are. Now, when these names are sent to the National Assembly, especially the Senate, it is the responsibility of the Senate to screen them, and before they are cleared. Now, if they refuse to do their job at that stage, nobody should blame Mr. President. Okay. Now, ordinarily, in considering who should be an ambassador or not, personality issue comes in. Who is this person? Does he have a questionable character? Does he have an impeccable character? It is very glaring. We know who they are. That the Senate should be able to determine who should be and who should not be. But if they decide to sweep it under the carpet, we shouldn't blame the executive. Now, that is how it works. There is these checks and balances. And that is how we have the legislative arm, the judicial arm, and the executive arm. If the executive make presentations, it is the duty of the legislative arm to say no. Somebody has just said, my friend has just said, in this dispensation, what we are seeing that the National Assembly cannot do anything. That whatever the Mr. President or the executive sends to them, they give approval. It's not, yes, well, to an extent, I will agree with him, but it is not always the situation. No, it's not always the case, because you have some senators, you have some House of Rep members who dig into these issues and come up.
But most times when they finish digging, they just have a little charade.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Well, it is.
And then the man bows and
it is.
leaves.
It is very, very unfortunate, but it must be said that they are derogating from their duties. Otherwise, there won't be checks and balances that we seek for in a democracy.
All right, so let's get into Delta State. So the Delta State NUJ chairman, to get into the picture, Clark Omero Alexandra was one of the nominees for Delta State. She's a career ambassador, so no big deal about that. But the big deal about Delta State is nobody else but our great Shekiri son, should I say, Reno Omokri, who seemed to be the major spectacle of the entire event, one of the major spectacles of the entire event. From the post he had about President Bola Tinubu when he was contesting, to many statements he has made against the incumbent president before now. Those statements, they carry so much water. I'll explain a little bit. There was this time when Nigerians who were not cool with the APC had many derogatory speeches or conversations about President Bola Tinubu back then. And one man, Reno Omokri, placed a picture that went very viral. So much that those who did not like Tinubu himself were against Reno Omokri. They were angry about that picture, and Omokri had to apologize. But he continued saying things. One of the things he said is that this man is a drug peddler. Fast forward to 2025, he is on the list as an ambassadorial nominee. Nigerians are asking the question, why? How can someone who has tarnished the name of the president and who has not made any sort of apology formal enough to clear the air about what he made the president seem to be nominated as an ambassador? NUJ chairman, this is where the pressmen get into the picture. Let's start the theories. The floor is now yours. We'll get to Harry here very shortly.
He has been nominated and he has been cleared.
Is that enough? Because this is when Nigerians are concerned. Look at that man. These two men, you see on screen. We can take the pictures back. These two men on screen.
Yeah.
These are the main men.
Fani Kayode.
These are the main men. In fact, in this whole conversation, Reno Omokri and Fani Kayode, they are the two main men. First, I'm talking about the former administrator of Rivers State. These two men you see on your screen are the men that are making people scream. In fact, we would have not been having this conversation if not these two men. These men are the reason we are here. So,
well,
he has nominated.
If you are saying we will not be having this conversation if not for these two men, I don't want to believe that it's all about personality, individual rating, and the rest. What if they are eminently qualified based on the criteria that you use?
Diplomacy. If we talk about diplomacy, Reno Omokri had issues with an American former governor, right? He had issues with a man who saw him as a liar. In fact, the man has made a Facebook page where he's devoted towards saying that Reno Omokri is a liar. He has continued calling him a liar. I remember we talked about people that have good character, right? Barrister.
Yeah.
Good character, good personalities. Pedigree. Thank you so much, Harry. Reno Omokri, in all of these, has a pedigree of being called a liar. And the man even proved beyond reasonable doubt on social media circles that Reno Omokri is a liar. Why are we finding his name there? And you know what Comrade Henry Isiayo said about these men stamping and sealing? People thought that somehow the lawmakers have said no to that man, Reno Omokri.
Now let me just approach it this way. When you are looking for the truth, you don't get it from one person.
Okay.
Sometimes you hear people say, the truth is that, I'm saying the truth. No, you are just giving facts. Facts according to you. Truth is a continuum.
Okay.
We continue to approach truths, to pursue truths as a continuum. It doesn't come from one person. So if you use one person's position to reach conclusion, you are not approaching the truth. Truth is an accumulation of facts.
Yeah,
have you accumulated enough facts to prove that the man lied intentionally? Or the man said, the information I have at that material time made me to say so. So what I'm trying to say is that don't justify one man's claim of what is truth and what is not truth. That maybe is angle is the fact that he has in his disposal. So you don't use that to
Why would the president nominate a man who has said he was a drug peddler?
I'm coming. That tells you that the president is a man with a large heart. He's not vindictive. Ordinarily, people who are vindictive will not look at anybody who has even criticized them mildly. So the president, for me, is about the only politician in Nigeria since the Third Republic. Is about the only politician, the only person who understands politics very well. Is not sentimental. He's somebody that is practical when it comes to political gaming. So for him to have nominated one of his worst critics, or some of his worst critics, shows that he has seen something in them that he wants to use to better the lot of Nigeria, particularly as it concerns the diplomatic world. So we cannot just judge because he has criticized the president, and so the president should hate him. The president should treat him like an enemy. No, it will not tell you, give you a different picture of the kind of president that we have in this country.
No, let's get to the picture, Comrade Churchill, Chairman. Reno Omokri has not been a bad man to the president since he became the president. He was a bad man to the president before he became the president. That was when he described him as a drug peddler. But the moment that Bola Tinubu was sworn in as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the narrative changed from Reno Omokri to begin to cherish, praise, and propagate the ideas of incumbent president. And he did this also because he said it's not just by one person, also making statement that offended the Ohanese Ndigbo community. That many of them were even picking up serious conversations about or against him getting any position in government, so to speak.
No, like I told you, I said truth is an accumulation of facts. If the president, and I also started by saying you don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
You have to go deep into that book to understand what the book is talking about. If the man has come to the realization that this is not the perception that I should have about this man, based on recent information available to him, he is free to change his mind, his perception about the man.
Okay.
So you don't just hold somebody because of his past.
Okay.
If his present can justify his present existence, then you take him for that. So you don't just hold one thing. Somebody can decide to change his mind as to his belief. You don't kill him because of his past belief.
Okay. I'm going to push the ball to your younger colleague, one of the members of the NUJ, so we can continue the Reno Omokri conversation before we go into Fani Kayode. There are quarters who believe, Comrade Henry Siayo, that the reason that the president gave the nomination to Reno Omokri for ambassadorial role is either to gag him or to thank him. To gag him from continuous speeches that concerns his drug-related offenses, allegedly, or to thank him for all the propagation of his ideas and programs that he has been doing since he became the president. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my chairman will always be my chairman, and of course, in this situation, I would like to borrow from something that he said earlier, that the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is someone that quite understands politics, and of course, of winning them over to yourself. And that is what I think the president succeeded in doing. Reno Omokri, before the 2023 presidential election, was really anti-Tinubu. There was nothing he did. He tried as much as possible to dissuade Nigerians from voting him in as the president. But fast forward to when he was sworn in, and of course, the president announced that fuel subsidy is gone, and other policies that he read out. Reno kept tweeting about them, and of course making videos to support the stance of the president. And of course he had the opportunity of going to visit the president in the Aso Rock, and of course have a handshake with the president. And that was the point I began to notice that definitely Reno is up to something. I was thinking probably Reno would have been given a ministerial appointment, but like the president knows what he wants, and of course he has kept that. And of course, Reno persistently, whatever thing the president, whatever policy of the president that people feel that this is too much, Reno try as much as possible to justify why such a policy should stay. And of course, this is what it has landed him. Now, the point here is politics. That is the president trying to get all his foot soldiers ready for 2027. Definitely, you cannot take Reno away when it comes to social media, especially in X and of course Facebook. And this is what I feel the president is actually tapping into in preparation for 2027. And of course, for someone that abused you, that you are a drug peddler, and of course you looking at the person and said, come and join my team. It means this is not just all about appointments. This is about preparing for 2027.
This is just preparation for 2027. Barrister, let's get to you now. We'll talk about character and being a diplomat. First of all, I told my senior colleague here, chairman, that you know what, Reno Omokri had been criticized heavily by the Ohanes Ndigbo that he's not fit for any position due to some of the very harsh or sharp statements he has made on X, formerly called Twitter, which Henry just pointed out at. Then there is the issue he had with a former governor of the US who has described him as a liar. All these, if first of all, charity, they say, begins at home. If you could not keep the people in the country together as one at home, making an entire tribe speak against him, and then outside the shores of this country, a governor who we call to come and check out Nigeria's level of security and how there's no Christian genocide, turned back and described him as one of the worst liars that he has ever seen in the world. Do you think that this man is still fit to be a diplomat to represent Nigeria regardless? Let's forget about the present and the... let's forget about the present and yes. We're talking to you now, Barry.
Yeah, frankly speaking, we must face the truth. The truth is that actually, as citizens of this country, or as Nigerians,
go ahead.
As Nigerians, we feel that he's not fit and proper, for the position. But the question is he not qualified to be? If I want to come from that angle, he's qualified. He's a citizen. Despite whatever
we're all qualified.
Whatever he has said.
We're all qualified to
the major thing is that the president has the prerogative right and power to nominate, and which he has done. Nominated him. I don't want to go into screening or whatever. And again, like my friends have just said, this is time for politics. There is this man that normally wears short knickers. I've forgotten his name, from Mondo State. Tai Sholari. And at the time, he was a strong critic of Buhari's administration. I think Buhari later made him chairman of one.
Babangida.
Oh, sorry. Babangida later made him chairman of one organization like that.
People's Bank.
Yeah, People's Bank, and he started wearing trousers and traveled abroad with, and everybody saw him and like, is this the same Tai Sholari we knew? I think some of them who have been great critics, of Tinubu have been brought in. So let's see how far they can go. But the question again is, the integrity remains, questionable, because tomorrow we will remind them. We'll continue to remind them. At the time you said Tinubu was bad, but later on you vowed that you were never going to serve in his government, that you don't have anything to do with him. He's this, he's that. Now, later on you join him. What that goes to, again, your integrity as a man.
Again, posterity will judge.
Yeah, the posterity will soon. It will not take time.
I think at this point, posterity should just take over the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
So that is it. Now, whether they like it or not, let's see how they perform. Whether they perform well or they don't perform well, it is on record that these, persons, this type of persons are like this. They are wayward. This is how they are. Oh, we cannot take their words seriously any longer.
One of them is Femi Kayode, who is very combative and who has multiple legal issues ranging on. And you think that that's okay still? It just depends on the president.
Because it is the president has decided to nominate him. It is within his power. The Constitution did not say oh, so person should not be appointed. What the constitution says is that 171 says Mr. President has power to appoint. He has power to nominate. He has not appointed. Nominate. Mr. President nominates and sends them to National Assembly, the Senate. Now, so that the Senate will be able to do one or two things. But if they decide to go and lobby there, and the Senate clears them, Mr. President will appoint them.
Okay.
Those are the issues.
Comrade Churchill, remember the topic for today's conversation is ambassadorial nomination and screening, merited or political. And it's beginning to seem as though it is more political because what the statements or response I've gotten so far tends to feed into the fact that, well, it doesn't matter what Reno Omokri might have said, as far as the president finding worthy and he has been screened and qualified, let's see how it's going to help the country and how it's going to represent the country properly. One man also on that list is Ayodele Oke. He was removed as NIA Director General after discovery of large sums of cash in his Lagos apartment. The question is, should someone with such unresolved public baggage be deemed fit to represent Nigeria in any part of the world? Now, let's pay attention or cognizance to the fact that we are going through a particular period or era in Nigeria that is not funny. Just recently, President Donald Trump added Nigeria's name to countries barred from getting visas, except of interest to America. That was very concerning for many Nigerians, because how dare you? We didn't see Ghana on that list. Permit me say, no offense, but small Ghana compared to the population of Nigeria. We didn't see South Africa on that list. Permit me say again, just South Africa, 1994 South Africa, that Nigeria literally fought for them. They were not on that list, but Nigeria, the giant of Africa, was on that list. It means that this is a time for us to get some of the best diplomats to represent this country outside this country. So again, I ask, is it fair that we're seeing somebody like Ayodele Oke, who has all these issues, money issues that are unresolved, on that list of nomination? Comrade Churchill.
Okay, before I go to Ayodele Oke, let me just background your initial statement concerning Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri paternally is from Igun in Ethiopia's local government.
Okay.
Maternally is from one of these local governments in Wari of Ishekiri mother. I don't know the specific village,
yes.
But I know that is the relationship.
He claims it's royalty there.
So, coming to Oke, the fact that somebody has been labeled or accused does not mean that the person is guilty. As I am now, I have been accused. Allegations have been placed on me in the past. It is left for such allegations to be proven. And when they are not proven, the person is found cleared. You understand me? So, if somebody has issues hanging on his head because one or two persons decide to publicly make such allegations, we should be careful how we label that person to look like a criminal, because he has not been tried and found guilty by a competent court or any panel. And if that has not been the case, it will not be proper for us to still be denying such a person of his constitutional rights to be a citizen first and foremost and enjoy the benefits of citizenship. To that extent, I don't want to believe that allegations alone should stop somebody from getting appointed.
I think so too.
So, if there is a court that calls him even after being appointed and say you are guilty of this and that, then we can say it's not worthy to be so nominated or cleared and appointed as the case may be. So, for me, that is a non-issue until a competent court has found him wanting. What I think is important is the fact that somebody who has a capacity to represent the country has been duly nominated. Now, we talk about politics. Not everything in politics is dirty or bad or incompetent. among the politicians, there are some that from every part. Barrister talked about federal character. In trying to bridge or meet these commitments, it is left for those who are vested with the authority, like the president, to nominate and appoint, to get the best. For me, I believe the best will have to prove themselves at the end of the day. If they are good enough, that is when they are exposed to tax. They have not been taxed, so we cannot know for now if passing the interview at the National Assembly is enough. It is when they have been given specific tax. Please go to this country, please go to that country, and you see them fumbling or doing well. That is when we can properly judge.
Okay.
That is my view.
All right. One time, Governor of Abia State, Tokote Ekpati, was also on that list, Comrade Henry Siayo, and he has all these issues about alleged mismanagement of funds and the rest of them. And I know that Comrade Churchill has already set a standard saying, you know what, innocent until proven guilty. I believe that as well. But would you consider the fact that, first off, it's not an ethical thing for the government, I'm talking about the president, executive, and the legislature, to hold forth, to wait until these people are proven innocent or guilty before the court, before allowing them to present Nigeria at such an international scale? Remember, they're number one representative of the country, wherever they are sent to become ambassadors in Nigeria. So shouldn't the president and the House of the National Assembly be concerned that these men already have stains and blemishes that could give a wrong impression outside the country about those who represent Nigeria?
I would say a monkey is a monkey, even though you transport it from Nigeria to Canada. And of course, that is the point I think this government is actually getting it wrong, especially the National Assembly, because from what Barrister said, it is the president can say, I am nominating this person, then it is left for you to screen the person and turn that person down. But look at the nominees the president gave to us and how they went to the National Assembly and were asked to take a bow. It shows you that it is actually like the statement I made earlier, that it is what the president said, that is what the president wants, that is how we will do it. But it is going to tarnish our image, and of course in the international community, because for these persons with questionable characters and of course still cases, some of them pending, being given an ambassadorial position, it goes to tell you that there are a lot of things that have been swept under the carpet, and that is why we keep having issues in Nigeria, that things under the carpet they don't clean the carpet again, and every time it occurs, we put them under the carpet. So for now, it is actually very clear. Yeah, political. Everybody is clapping for the governor. Thank you for nominating our son, our daughter. But the international community are watching us. They are looking at us. You once said a giant of Africa. A giant that refused to keep training to remain a giant will become
obese.
You said
obese. Big for nothing.
So I whenever you say giant of Africa, I don't. Let's tell ourselves the truth. We are no longer the giant of Africa again. Yeah. So I think the nomination from the president, fine, but for the National Assembly to refuse to do their duty diligently and of course scrutinize these persons, I think that is where we're getting into.
All right. Our time is almost up. So Barrister, in a sentence, just wrap it up legally and with your wisdom.
Yes, I just like my friend has just said, it is necessary that both the executive and the legislative arm of government should perform their duties diligently and constitutionally. There is this rule that there must be checks and balances. We are not saying that they must quarrel at all times, but there should be scrutiny. When these names are sent, there should be scrutiny, proper scrutiny, so that those who are not actually qualified, those who are not suitable for such position should be dropped, and Mr. President will replace them. But in a situation where they ask them to bow and go on,
after much
they have not done it, it gives the impression that something had been done somewhere, and that does not tell well about us.
Thank you so much. We've had Comrade Churchill Oyeway, the NUJ Chairman, Delta State Chapter. Thank you so much. Comrade Henry Siayo, very powerful NUJ member as well. Thank you so much. And then Barrister Sam Ubo right here with us, the doctor in that field. Thank you so much. We've had a very wonderful conversation. I've learned so much about how this thing should have gone. We believe that Nigeria is the giant of Africa, but the question is, are we just a giant by the resources and our population, or are we giants who have done with these without being able to do anything for ourselves? It starts with pedal scrutiny, and it starts with it continues with intentionality. That's how we say thank you so much for being part of the faculty, right here on television, The People's Pride. I'm Francis Ofulue. Good afternoon and goodbye.
I get program. Doctor, thank you. I get program for.
Ooh.